Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Mackenzie and I am a stay-at-home homeschooling mom to 4 kids. And today I'm going to show you everything that I have for the Well-Educated Heart Rotation 2, which is studying 1600s colonies, Holland, Spain, and the ocean. And so I have lots of books here to show you. I'm super excited. At first I thought I didn't have a lot to show you, but laying it all out, I'm kind of overwhelmed. I have quite a bit to show you. Let's take a look at what I got. I'm going to start a little backwards. I'm going to show you first the books that I have for the ocean, studying the ocean. So I have a lot of stuff here. I'll start with more of my storybooks. We have not read this one yet, but after pulling it out, I realized we need to read this one. So we'll probably read this one next. It's One Morning in Maine, and I have heard such good things about this story, and it is also on the Well-Educated Heart website. So that's why I got it. So of course you can never go wrong with getting books that are recommended on its website. And this is from the book list on the old website. You can get there from the new website if you click on the Apple heart icon. Once you get into a month and scroll down, you'll see the icons. There's like mother influence icon, and then there's an icon with a heart that it looks like an apple. If you click on that, it'll take you to the old rotation with old book lists, and that's where I found this. Okay, another book that we pulled out this month is Starfish. So this is just a story about a starfish, super cute story. Another one, this is a classic. I'm sure you guys have all read this one before, but I love the moral of the story of this book, and it just fits along really well with this month's rotation. So we pulled this one out. This is another one that I love, and we have used this one since my kids were super little, before I even started homeschooling, and they love this book. So this one also fits in really well with this month's rotation. I actually ended up picking this book up at a yard sale, and it is so cute. It is See the Ocean, and this one is so heartwarming. I love it because it's about this girl who's blind, and she explains what the ocean is to her. So obviously, since she's blind, she explains it so much differently, but it's so rich and it's so beautiful. And so I would highly recommend this book. This is another book that we have loved. This one goes along really well with another book that we are reading that I'm going to show you in just a minute. It tells about like the life of a hermit crab, and it's very educational, and my kids enjoy this one. So this is the book that we are reading, and it's quite lengthy. So we read a chapter a day. It's got, how many? 20 chapters. So we're pretty much reading this book all throughout the whole month of the rotation. But we'll read usually like a picture book or short story, and then we'll pull this one out and read this. And my kids love it, and they have learned so much about the ocean and about this little hermit crab and his life story. And it's just such a cute book. So we've enjoyed it so far. We're not done with it. We're still working through this one. That is all for the picture books that I have for the ocean. But I picked up this book from Paper Pie, and this book is super cute. It is a book of poems from the wetlands. So it fits in with this month's rotation, so we've been memorizing poems from this. This is another book that we picked up from Paper Pie, and it is so fun. I love the Paper Pie books. They're so nice, and the artwork is always fun. This one has pullouts, so the kids have really enjoyed pulling this out every day and learning a little bit. We'll just do like a page a day-ish with this book. This is Oceans Pop-Up Planet. So these are so fun. The kids really love these books that we get from Paper Pie, and I will link everything down below if anything looks like you just have to have it in your library. That's what I do these videos for. I think it's always so fun collecting more and more books, and you can never have too many books in your home library, especially when you're homeschooling. Okay, and we have not pulled this one out yet because we have so many different resources, but that is the thing that I love about the Well-Educated Heart, is you go over these topics every year. So even though I have a ton of resources, we can just choose to dive into it a little bit, or we can choose to read it all and then leave the rest, and the next year we can hit those again. But this one's really cute. This is a Lift the Flap book. So it's talking about oceans and different animals that live in that area. What the swimmers find down below. So this is a really cute book. This is a book that we read because we're also following along a little bit with Brave Writer. So this one fits really well with this month's rotation, and we loved this book. When I first started reading it, I was kind of hesitant because it reads in verse, I guess is how you call it, but it's like a poem, but it doesn't rhyme. So I was like trying to read it like a poem at first, and then it wasn't making sense to me because I was trying to like read it in rhythm, and I'll show you. It's like written like a poem kind of. But then after I started trying to read it in rhythm, I was like, this is just messing me up. So then I started reading it normally, and it was much easier to read that way. And my kids loved this book, especially the ending. There might be parts where you're like feeling like it's starting to get boring, but then the ending just like makes this book so good. So we have really enjoyed this book. I would recommend it. Here's a book that we haven't read yet, but goes along with this month's rotation just because it has a lot to do with the ocean, and I have heard that this book is really good. So I am planning on getting around to this book, if not this year, next year, or the year after that. At some point, I want to read this book to my kids. So this is what we have in our month 2 rotation bin. So like I said before, we will read a short story or a picture book along with Pagu. And so when we choose a short story, we will choose from the Libraries of Hope shop. We got the Nature series. And if you're gonna get any of the series from the Well-Educated Heart, like just one series, I would highly recommend the Nature series. I love the stories from this, and my kids do too, and they like beg for me to keep reading. And the stories are short and very educational, and so there's lots of little ocean stories in here, or like water stories. Like we read a story about the water cycle, and it talked about the water, and it was a story about it instead of just telling you what happens. So anyways, it just brings educational things to life. So Nature series, highly recommend, from the Well-Educated Heart Libraries of Hope website. Another thing that I would recommend if you don't already have it, the My Book House series. I have tabbed in here a ocean story. This book was written in the early 1920s, and so they're all old, like classic stories. So I'll just show you. This is a story that I found in here. Actually, it was linked in the Well-Educated Heart rotation from the old website, and it's The Adventures of a Water Baby. So there's just lots of really fun stories in here as well, and you can't purchase this on the Well-Educated Heart website, but I can link below if they have it on Amazon. I don't think I could find it on Amazon even. I think I had to look on eBay. So if I don't link it, it's because I couldn't find it, but I would recommend looking on eBay or like thrift books, somewhere like that. But this is a big bonus to have in our homeschool. But I also think these look really cool on the shelf. They all have different colors, and there's 12 books. So really fun to read out of these. We've covered all of my ocean book resources. Next is like 1600's colonies and pilgrims and stuff. So that obviously has to do with water because they sailed across the ocean. But this is a book that I just love, and I believe this is linked on the website as well. But this is The Boy Who Fell Off the Mayflower. This is a really cool story, and so I like to read this one every year. My kids really like this one too. Okay, I don't really have many picture books for this time period, so if you guys have any picture books that you love that go along with the 1600s, comment it down below so that I can find out about it and purchase some, because I would love to start collecting more picture books for those. But right now we're just reading like snippets of chapter books, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So we also use the My America storybook series, and I love these because they will just have short stories of people from our country. So this one's on Massachusetts from 1590 to 1657, and this is William Bradford. So my kids just love learning about the people from this book, and it has amazing artwork too. So this series is really fun. Marlene also has audio recordings of these on her website, so that's really nice if you need a break from reading, because I know my throat gets sore after a while. Sometimes I need a break, so it's really nice to have those audio recordings and listen to them. Another book that we really like is The Landing of the Pilgrims, and we decided to get this book off of, or because of the suggestion of this book from Ambleside Online. So we have been reading this, and it goes on along really well with this month's rotation. Another book from Ambleside Online that we really like is 50 Famous Stories Retold, and this has a lot of different stories from different time periods, but one that we read this month that we really liked was Pocahontas on page 41. So that goes along with this month as well, and we really enjoy the stories in that book. Another resource that I think is great for history, I believe it's really important to learn about like English history over like British history, I guess is what you would call it. I don't know. But just understanding what happened in their country before people came here, I think was really important. And so Our Island Story is a really good book that kind of dives deep into those things. But along with this month's rotation, chapter 75 chapter 75 of this book is the story of the Mayflower. So we read that from Our Island Story. Another book that I really love is This Country of Ours, and these last few books that I've shown you are from Ambleside Online. So this one we have been reading, and the ones that correlate, or the chapters that correlate from this story with this month's rotation, is chapter 13 to 22. So it starts off with, I think, the adventures of Captain John Smith. Yeah. And then it goes to the story of the Pilgrim Fathers. So that's one that we have enjoyed reading this month, and we don't get through everything this month through all these stories. We just kind of have bits and pieces of each one, and then we'll move on, and next year we'll come back to it. Spain and Holland. I don't really have a lot of resources for Spain and Holland, so if you guys have resources that you can share with me, picture books are ones that I love. So if you have any picture books that you love that have to do with Spain or Holland, please comment below and share those with me. But one picture book that I have about Spain is Ferdinand, and it's just a classic story. Every home has to have Ferdinand, right? So my little boy loves this story. I used to read it to him when he was a baby, and it's just one of those books that he wants me to keep reading to him. So we have that one in our month 2 bin. And then we also have the imaginative series from The Well-Educated Heart, and so we will read stories from here. This is something that I recently purchased. It's the My World storybook. I felt like we knew so much about our American history, but not a whole lot about the world history. So I wanted to get the My World storybook. And so this one each month goes with the rotations, just like all the others that you can get from her website. And yeah, it has stories about people. I like learning about people and having people that my kids can look up to, and just those examples of courage and truth and righteousness. And so that's what this is. It has lots of stories about people from Spain and Holland. So this one has been a good one for us to dive into. And then last but not least, we also love the My Book of Delights, and there's lots of really cute poems in here. We memorized poems this week. Little Things and I Wonder Why, but like, look how pretty the artwork is. I love it. So when we read short stories, we will also pull from here. We have lots of different opportunities to pull out short stories that go along with like our chapter book reading. So I don't worry about having too many picture books and too many short story books, because we could read probably 3 short stories and then we can dive into our chapter books and do more of a deeper dive. And then every week I do try to do some sort of craft or science experiment that just brings everything to life. And so we just painted this landscape, and then we got Q-tips and just dabbed on flowers. So they really liked doing that. Something that we also want to do is create, you could probably find this online, I'll try to link it if I can find it, but we found this science experiment that was like the different zones of the ocean, and you can dye, like put food coloring in and color the bottom layer of the ocean really dark, and then just use different forms of liquid to separate them out. So like oil and water and sugar water and salt water and things like that, so that they separate out. And then you can label the different zones in the water bottle. If you have any ideas or if your kids enjoyed any of the crafts that you planned for them this month, go ahead and link it below, because I love getting ideas. Thanks for checking out all of my stuff with me today, and I'll see you next time.